Hi everyone, Carter Krishnaiyer here for Beyond the 90, red letter day potentially in the history of lower division American soccer with the investment of KKR into MLS Next Pro through an entity called Hometown Soccer Holdings, which is a kind of a humorous name, quite frankly, like just a very patronizing name. So this is obviously the soccer wars being intensified, and we sort of knew this was coming. We've known this was coming for a while, that MLS was either going to shut down MLS Next Pro or they were really going to give it a go to try and take down USL. And it appears to be the latter that they're doing. And as I said previously, I began to get wind the last few months that there was a changing attitude towards the USL versus MLS Next Pro battle among executives and investors in the game. And I think that led directly to the ouster of Justin Papadakis from USL HQ. I've gotten some more information since we reported on that. I believe we were the ones who broke that story. Sometimes maybe we don't pound our chest enough beyond the 90 because quite honestly, a bunch of other media outlets picked up on it days after we said Justin Papadakis had left the business. Maybe we need to do the breaking news thing like CNN does and Fox News does and MSNBC, etc. To say, hey, we got a scoop. But no, we're more about covering USL, and it was a relevant piece of information that he had left, and it wasn't something where we were trying to score subscribers or score headlines. But there was a direct correlation between what has happened in the last several months and his leaving the business at USL. And now we're seeing the challenge for USL mounting with private equity pumping money into MLS Next Pro after a change to the Pro League standards, which US Soccer never released publicly. I had heard that there had been changes made to the PLS. I did not know they were official changes. I went and found the standards this morning. I'm sorry to our loyal subscribers. I didn't have it 3 weeks ago or whenever it was published because US Soccer never put out a press release. They never let anyone know. I realized when I saw this from MLS this morning, oh, well, this doesn't fit within the PLS. They must have changed the PLS. Well, yeah, they changed the PLS. Seems like they always change the PLS when it benefits MLS, right? Little editorial commentary there. You might hear a lot of that in this video, unfortunately. So we've got a battle on hand. Again, I'm going to say I'm a journalist, I'm a writer, I'm also an advocate and an activist. So the advocate and activist portions may bump up against the first portion at times because I am not neutral. Remember, I work for NASL. I helped build NASL. I'm a lower division soccer guy. I believe in grassroots soccer. I believe in independent clubs. I am not neutral in this USL MLS fight. I'm partisan, right? I'd like to see MLS. I would like to see USL win this battle. Not this battle, this war. There are multiple battles in the war. That's me personally. And lower division soccer has been such an important part of my life. It's really the thing in my life that's given me the most fulfillment, the most joy, developed some of the best friendships I have. I've worked in other professions. I write books about history. I worked in politics on and off now for 30 years. Right when someone was interviewing me about politics the other day in the Florida redistricting, they're like, well, you were the president of the College Democrats at the University of Florida 30 years ago, and you were working for the state party as their statewide field director 24 years ago. And I said, well, I guess I was. But that was a long time ago. That never gave me the sort of fulfillment that the relationships, the supporters culture, the grassroots earthiness and crustiness and resourcefulness, whatever you want to call it, of lower division soccer in medium-sized towns, small towns, suburban areas, right? Not the big time like MLS, but throughout the country, or throughout the U.S. and Canada, the joy it's given me, and the relationships it's built for me, and the fulfillment it's brought in my life. And when I processed the news this morning, I thought, oh my goodness. We know how MLS would envision a build out of the lower divisions. Okay, let's not confuse this and say, oh well, they want independent clubs, they want organic stuff. They're really good with that. They're the hometown. What are they calling this? Hometown soccer holdings. No. USL's not perfect. I have a boatload of critiques of USL. Obviously, I worked for the NASL, so that alone, working for the NASL brought me a bunch of critiques of USL. But there are two lanes here, and I hate to tell the pro-rel bros and the I'm sitting out of the domestic soccer pyramid and I'm going to criticize and I'm just going to watch the Premier League and I'm just going to watch PSG and Bayern crowd. There are two directions the professional game in this country can go. And I don't like attaching things to corporate entities. I wish there was a third way. I've advocated a third way in the past. There are two ways this is going to go. MLS control or USL survives as an independent entity. That's competitive. Those are the only two paths. I know what I would prefer, which is the latter. Not only prefer, I would tell you, if USL somehow goes away out of the men's professional game and everything's controlled by MLS, I'm at the age where I might just walk away completely from professional soccer in the United States. That's how serious this is for me. So what do we make of today's news? Private equity brings a couple of catalysts into MLS Next Pro. One, the scalability and the ability to create what is effectively a farm system. And I want to make this pretty clear. Some of you who know me know this. I don't dislike reserve teams. I've always felt there has been a need for reserve teams in the U.S. system to develop players so that academies can incubate reserve teams. Those guys can get games. Those guys can get professional training. I would like it on the women's side too. So I have pushed back against the independent soccer advocates, a lot of my people in the NASL days who said, oh, we hate reserve teams. And in fact, I internally in the NASL, when we had the opportunity to take the deal with MLS that USL eventually took, I thought it was a good idea. Now, I didn't think it was a good idea long-term to have maybe 35 teams and 25 of them being MLS reserve teams. That I didn't like. I didn't like the idea of that. But I thought it buys you some time, it buys you some stability. It may get people out to games because they'll see guys coming through academies, guys who will be stars. Alphonso Davies could have played in our league then. Ricardo Pepi could have played in our league. Instead, they played in USL, and it bought USL some time. But eventually, USL, if they were going to get the investment they needed from independent club owners who are franchisees, who are the ones who have the skin in the game of the business. They live locally, they build the clubs locally, they do it organically as much as they can. That is not what MLS Next Pro, I don't think that's the vision of MLS Next Pro at all, especially when I see the involvement of Tom Glick, who I've met many times, met him over in England, actually, in Derby many years ago, and Chris Klein, who I know a little bit about. I see that they're the ones running it. This is not going to be some organic grassroots. These are company men, highly successful company men running this entity. For all of USL's clunkiness, you still have club independence. You still have, you don't have a one-size-fits-all model. You still have a situation where the Tampa Bay Rowdies are really freaking cool. You still have a situation where you go down to USL League One, you have all kinds of cool brands popping up. So let's talk about the reality here. There's going to be large budgets now for infrastructure development for MLS Next Pro teams to build independent or build new complexes with real estate outside of the main MLS complex. So you could see someone hypothetically gave me the example of Sporting Kansas City putting a team in Lawrence, Kansas. that is a reserve team or a farm team. They'll be called Lawrence. I don't know, Lawrence Jayhawks. Let's call them Jayhawks for the heck of it. And that they will be like the AAA affiliate, and then you'll have a division of MLS Next Pro below that with a team in Topeka, and they'll build a small stadium in Topeka, attach it to retail, and they will be like the AA affiliate of Sporting Kansas City. Maybe they'll do Swope Park Rangers again too. And that it's going to be built out that way. And that I should not assume that this means there's going to be lots of independent clubs in MLS Next Pro, unless when USL franchise agreements are up with existing USL clubs, they say, okay, we're getting all these cost offsets. We're getting all of these things subsidized. And this is something we know. This is something we talked about, that it's much more cost effective to be in MLS Next Pro because they have the geographic thing built out, because they have 30 reserve teams or whatever, and they're in geographic pods, and then they have the few independent clubs they have, and all these things are connected. And in USL, you have to go from Naples to Boise. In USL League One, in USL Championship, you have to go from in the USL Super League, you have to go from Fort Lauderdale to Spokane. In USL Championship, you have to go from Miami to Sacramento, right? So it is. This is where we're at, right? And that reduces costs, and they can subsidize some of the things. They don't have the league fees the USL Championship has. So I'm concerned. We're going to watch this play out the next couple months and years. I think this is a play right before the World Cup. This is at a time when USL has made a bunch of mistakes, and I would blame Justin Papadakis for some of those mistakes from a communication standpoint and from a winning one-on-one battles with MLS standpoint. So from a communication standpoint, we have a LOI from somebody. We're announcing we're having an expansion team in, I don't know, just name a town, Lansing, Michigan. That's just throwing out a thing. Brevard County, Florida. Then you go a year, you go 2 years, you go 3 years, and nothing's happened. And then the next time they make an expansion announcement, Milwaukee, nothing's happened. And then they make an expansion announcement with some serious teeth. Rogers, Arkansas. Oh, well, that's not going to happen because the other two didn't happen. So you see there's a communication strategy problem. And then you have also the bottom line problem of trying to build out USL Premier and not locking down some of those bigger markets. And how successful are USL clubs now that are tangentially in MLS metropolitan areas? I have to ask you, how successful is Miami FC? How successful is Loudoun United? How successful is Brooklyn FC? How successful is Orange County SC? I mean, although Orange County's battle against the LA Galaxy, which they won a few years ago, was a huge win for USL. Against Chris Klein and LA Galaxy, by the way. Chris Klein is going to be leading this initiative. So there is hope, but they've got to win more of those battles, and they've got to convince investors, hey, maybe you might lose a little more money in USL initially. We can't subsidize you. We don't have all this money being pumped in, but we do have club independence as although there are restrictions on that in your franchise agreement, but you are local. You are organic. You are grassroots. You are going to develop supporters. I cannot see these MLS reserve teams that are going to litter the country developing the sort of supporters culture you see in USL that we had in NASL, and they had in USL even before NASL started, and that they still have in USL. So, yeah, there's a lot that USL can fight back on, but check out my piece on Beyond the 90. I don't want to restate myself. You can read that, but I talk about the scalability and the asset consolidation that this does for MLS. The fact that this allows MLS owner-operators of MLS first team clubs to kind of offload the reserve team, the farm league build out to somebody else, and the fact that the talent pipeline is going to more likely go through MLS Next Pro. So USL's got to get real serious about their academies. They got to get serious about poaching talent out of MLS academies, which we've seen Orange County and Sacramento in particular successfully do. They got to get real serious about USL Premier and its ability, their ability to then create a pro rel system with parachute payments that support other clubs. You've got to you have to get serious about getting maybe some more money into this thing, and you've got to get serious about getting the right media deal starting in 2028. And I guess first things first, you got to solve the labor dispute. So a lot here. We're going to talk more about this, I'm sure, in the very near future.